Yes, dudes and dudettes, Major League Toxicity is back in town. That's right, it's me, your good buddy in the mix, 21st century digital boy, the people's champion, and the last Boy Scout, Shanghai Pete. Bringing you another episode of the award-winning drama series, Degreelessness, and oh boy, do we have some drama tonight. I was in the middle of wrapping up another weekly recap-style video when the news hit. Cyberpunk 2077 had been delayed yet again. No fucking way, I thought. There's no possible chance they would be this stupid. But yes, it's true. After being delayed twice already and promising multiple times that there would be no more, and even doubling down on that promise less than 24 hours before they would break it they definitely did. Cyberpunk 2077 will no longer be released on November 19th, but December 10th instead. I told everyone before the last time they did it that would be the last time I would accept a delay without question, and after that their goodwill would henceforth be used up. I also promised I would tell you unequivocally when I think it's time to worry. We're now seeing the Cyberpunk hype train derailing in spectacular Hindenburg fashion. Oh, the humanity indeed. So yes, friends, I'm sorry to say, it's time to start worrying. Now, there's obviously a lot going on here. We're going to try to break it down, see what we can understand. Now, first, we need to keep in mind that the only facts here are statements directly from CDPR. Everything else, no matter how seemingly well-informed, is nothing but speculation. Maybe well-educated speculation, but speculation nonetheless. So be under no illusions about that. Now, this is also not whether they should or should not have delayed it again, or if we agree with that decision or not. We have no idea what the state of the game is. Doesn't matter what we think. If the game isn't ready, well, then obviously don't release it yet. I don't see how anyone could even argue about that. It's their game and its release is at their discretion. We might not like it, but if it's not done, it's not done. I do think that there are some things we can learn though, so we're gonna try and sort the shit out, talk about why I'm worried, and discuss what this little crisis says about the state of the game and CDPR itself. That's right, it's time to get deep inside. Now, moving right along, first, it does need to be said, I don't care about the 21 days. I'm an adult, I have a full-time job, tons of other games to play, my girl to deal with, plus other hobbies, side hustles, etc. So, 21 days ain't really shit to me, I don't care, it's not about that, and I suspect most people feel the same way. Young Shanghai Pete, on the other hand, would be hurling himself at the wall, frothing at the mouth, and collapsing in a paroxysm of rage at this news. So any younger bros for which this game may be the only bright spot on your calendar this year, I sympathize. I've been there, I feel you. Regardless of which demographic of Cyberpunk fan you fall into though, I think we can all agree that it's not the additional wait time that is most concerning, though of course, especially for people that took off work, it still definitely sucks. No, the red flag here is what this says about the state of the game in general, conditions in the studio, and the behavior and conduct of upper management. Before we go any further though, we do need to debunk a theory that I've seen gaining major traction on Reddit and shit. This post from a supposed game dev who says because of the Stadia release announcement, CDPR announced the game had gone gold on October 5th, and then 10 days later states that now it's coming to Stadia along with other platforms. Then a few weeks after that, surprise, surprise, now they need a little more time. Now, I was ready to say that this totally explains it and call it a day, until, of course, I remembered that they didn't announce the Stadia release for the first time on October 15th, they announced it August 19th of last year. Some people mentioned that the October announcement confirmed the game for Stadia would now be out the same day as all other platforms, when the previous original announcement had only said sometime after its main release. So technically, yes, this is a change that could have resulted in more work, but not one that would have taken them by surprise, as clearly they've known for a while it was going to have to be tested and cleared for Stadia too. So unfortunately, that more or less totally rules out this theory, which personally I find to be kind of a bummer, as it would have been super fun to blame everything on Stadia. Alas, it was not meant to be. Okay, that's out of the way. Now, first of all, this game is not coming out in 2020, okay? I'm sorry if you think that it is, but it's not. They already broke the seal on too many delays and have even openly indicated that this most recent delay may not even be the last one. So don't get your hopes up, all right? We're looking at Q1 2021, if at all. A game delayed once sucks, but as we all know is often for the best, and usually the responsible choice for a developer committed to launching a quality product. A game delayed twice is concerning, but if the developer has a history of releasing well-polished great games, most people overlook it and the hype will just increase. But a game delayed 3 times, starts to make people wonder what in the fuck is going on, and it also throws into question the motives behind the first 2 delays. 1 or even 2 delays can easily be justified as the responsible decisions of an engaged management and passionate developers with a reputation to protect. But I'm sorry, 3 delays not only looks like a mess, but a pattern. It's a fine line, but it's still obvious when you cross it. The amount of consumer goodwill CDPR had was substantial, but it was finite. And as I've said before, at the rate they were using it up, it was bound to run out soon, and eventually there would be a tipping point where they'd start to lose the confidence of the fans. That's where we are now. The amount of customers willing to give them the benefit of the doubt had been rapidly shrinking by the day, but now it's fallen off a cliff. The questions from fans are getting more insistent, people start to speculate and quite rightly wonder what could possibly be occurring that you couldn't foresee when you delayed it the last time. Can we believe anything you guys say anymore? And just like that, we're in meme country, surrounded by the decaying corpses of games like Half-Life 3, Duke Nukem Forever, and Aliens Colonial Marines. See, think about it like this. If you go out and order a burger, and every couple minutes, instead of bringing you your burger, they tell you, sorry, but we need a little more time, we're making it extra good, eventually you'll wonder what they're doing back there and say, fuck it, I'll go somewhere else. Now, of course, CDPR has been in defensive stance since the delay was announced, and naturally, because the internet and social media are a thing, they're getting death threats among God knows what else. I don't really have anything to say about that. When people have anonymity, they do dumb shit. They always have, always will. I saw one post on the Cyberpunk subreddit talking about this and saying it was unfucking believable. I'm certainly not saying that doing that is okay. Insert obligatory threatening people with violence over the internet is wrong here, but what about it do you find unbelievable? How long have you been on the internet? People routinely call SWAT teams into other families' homes because they lost in Call of Duty, and you can't believe that someone would tweet, fuck you, kill yourself? Pfft. Please, I refuse to engage in all the widespread pearl clutching and virtue signaling that always fly around when stuff like this happens. Just helps the current target paint themselves as a victim, and no matter how mean people are being to them on the internet, a billion-dollar company is never a victim of anything. Fuck out of here with that. Now, if you have a especially fragile constitution, you may be thinking, but Shanghai Pete, they're not just a big corporation, they're people too, just like us. Yeah, they're people just like us that don't have to look at their fucking Twitter mentions if they don't want to. Alright? I understand that maybe a lot of your ego is tied up into how many times people at you in a given day, but you don't have to look at that, okay? So go cry someplace else. Now, eager to exonerate themselves, CDPR published details from a conference call that was held, conveniently enough, right after the delay announcement. Suffice it to say, they are not encouraging. While some may have found it slightly comforting to see them display some real transparency, maybe offer some good reasons why they had to delay it again, this is not that. So let's go through them and explain what a shameless collection of corporate drivel it is. Regarding the new release date, they say, we are firm, realizing on November 19th is possible and was possible, but having these 3 more weeks gives us a chance to fix this and that. The decision was not easy, but we know that there is just one release and the first impression is crucial, so in the long run the decision is beneficial. Better initial reaction to the game always works in favor of more sales. That is why we are delaying. We don't have to, but having this extra time gives us more certainty that everything will be in the game when we release. I'm sure I don't need to point this out, but this is essentially exactly what they've said every time they announce a delay. It's almost what every company says about any game when it's delayed. We just need a little more time. We're firm this time, we promise. This time is different. It was a hard decision, but blah, blah, blah. Not only does this tell us nothing, but even worse, it comes across as insincere, especially since this is now the 3rd time they've offered this almost exact statement verbatim. And need I remind anyone of what the end result of those previous 2 promises were? Now, by no means am I saying that there isn't any truth to this statement. In fact, I absolutely believe that they need more time to fix stuff and get things right. That's fine, it's not the problem. The problem is that this is now the 3rd time that they've said the exact same thing. I don't worry that they've still got stuff to fix. I worry they still have so much to fix that no one really knows exactly how much. I worry that there's such a state of disarray and miscommunication that some people on the development team didn't hear about a delay until it had been posted on Twitter. Except that simultaneously, the Twitter account's grasp on the state of their product is apparently so tenuous that they literally told someone that there would definitely be no more delays less than 24 hours before they announced yet another delay. Now, about the delay specifically, they say, this situation is different compared to previous changes to the deadline. The game for PC is ready and plays well on next-gen consoles, and the company's finalizing the process concerning current-gen consoles. Okay, if this situation is so different, then tell us exactly how it's different. All you're offering here is the same type of vague industry speak you said the last 2 times. The only actual news is that the PC version is done and playable. But they also told us that the game went gold in the beginning of October, and supposedly, gold indicates not only content complete, but also that it's passed or about to pass certification from console compliance teams. So which is it? Did you lie about the game going gold, or did you skip steps that are typically part of the process of certifying a game gold? Or maybe you only just now found out that it went gold because someone DM'd you the tweet. Is someone already preparing a statement about the 4th delay? As much as I'm kind of fucking around here, I'm also not. This kind of boilerplate excuse, copy pasta, is fine for a 1st delay, probably even a 2nd if you're CDPR, but when you're doing this to people for the 3rd time, you gotta come with something more reassuring and sincere if you don't want people asking questions. To be clear, I'm not saying they have to do that or that we're owed it or anything ridiculous like that, only that it's natural for people to be a little concerned after a game is delayed 3 times. And if you're expecting to ease that concern, it's gonna take a little more sack than this. Next, regarding the game itself, we are really sure we have something amazing in our hands, and once the game is released, everyone will understand why it was so difficult. Don't get us wrong, we are kind of internally stressed on the one hand, but on the other we feel very strong about the game, and we are super happy with what we will deliver. Nothing to say about this, like what were they gonna say instead? Yeah, we're still working on it, but honestly it's pretty meh. Of course not. They're gonna slob their own knob. The rest is corporate business nonsense concerning stuff like pre-orders, contractual fines, average selling price, etc. Nothing really pertinent here. So, another thing I think is worth pointing out is that I feel like many people are forgetting that a game can still be labeled a failure even if it's good, sells well, and people like it. Just ask any AAA publisher. Doesn't matter how awesome it is or how many people like it, if sales don't hit projected goals, most publishers will mark that as a failure. The hype for Cyberpunk 2077 is now off the fucking charts. People not even really into video games know about it and they want to play it. My friend told me that even people he plays NBA 2K with that never play anything else were talking to him about Cyberpunk and how they were gonna get it. Now, all that advertising, media blitz, sponsorships, cross-promotions, and slick Keanu Reeves ads you're seeing all over the place aren't for people like us. They don't need to advertise to us. That's for the normies. That's for Johnny Sixpack and Chad Rowe Chill. That's for your boring married friends who have a PS4 or an Xbox but only play like 1 or 2 games a year. And judging by the reaction we're seeing, the normies got the message and they want to play the sci-fi John Wick game. They've been told it's going to be the best game of the year, maybe the best game in 10 years, maybe the best game ever, and they don't want to miss out. What happens if they get a good but not great FPS RPG and the shooting is weird but not like Call of Duty? People like you and me will likely still enjoy Cyberpunk even if it's just okay or good. But what about them? The millions of PlayStation Xbox owners that bought it because they were told it was going to be the greatest game in the universe by every gaming media outlet every single day for 5 years straight. Do you think that they're going to be happy playing a 6.5 or a 7 after all that? Doubtful. They'll be disappointed, word will spread, and sales will fall off a cliff after the initial spike from people like us and curious normies. We don't know what their sales goals are for this game, of course, but if they're anything like the hype level, hitting them is going to be rough if Cyberpunk ends up reviewing it anything less than a 9. In my opinion, this is probably what has CDPR so worried and flustered. Remember, while some of us may not care if it ends up being nothing more than a Witcher quality by-the-numbers RPG that, while not world-changing, is still fun, that is not what CDPR wants. That is not what they need. Everyone loves to handle them with like these kids' gloves and act all cute and cuddly with nice guy CDPR, but they're still a AAA developer, and they've still got all the budget, oversight, sales targets, and projection goals of one too. Just like EA or Ubisoft. Anything less than straight 9s and 10s across the board, along with a Game of the Year nomination and chart-busting sales figures to match, is going to be a big fucking problem for them. So even if the game right now is awesome and maybe playable on PC, they're going to keep hitting us with that dreaded yellow rectangle of text until either they're confident they've got a solid 10 or have paid off enough media personalities to ensure it gets one anyway. Whew. Okay, about time to wrap this one up, which means it's also time to consult one of our favorite books, Nuance for Dummies. I'm not here to tell you to start panicking and that the game is going to be bad. There's no way to know that yet. And if you ignore CDPR's chaotic behavior of late and just look at what we've seen in the game so far, fuck, it looks awesome. I still have every intention of buying it day one, whenever that ends up being. So no, I'm not here to preach damnation and frighten you with rants about how the end is extremely fucking nigh. No, what I'm doing is exactly what I told you I would do, letting you know when I think their leeway has run out and there's cause for concern. That's it. This is the third delay, the second in 3 months. I don't know off the top of my head, but I bet you could count the number of games that were delayed 3 or more times and still turned out fantastic on one hand. We gave you a pass the first time, we gave you a pass the second time too. How many passes do you want? I'm not saying that everybody should go gang up on them and start being fucking assholes, but like, I am saying that we have a right to start wondering what the fuck's going on. I know that like you're CDPR and used to everybody loving you, but even you are not above simply being questioned. And even all that aside, going back and forth like this with your release date, especially in such a short span of time, tells me 1, that the game isn't done, obviously, but 2, and more importantly, that the amount of disconnect and general confusion regarding its state of development was severe enough that they needed to flip-flop back and forth on release dates so frequently in such a short span of time, despite the inevitable toll that it would have on their reputation and the game's reception. And even more concerning is that decisions to do so were often made so last minute that in many cases some of the developers had to find out about it from the same tweet that the rest of us did. The most recent of which as we mentioned earlier, was posted less than 24 hours after that same official Twitter account assured customers that there absolutely positively would be no further delays. Is that in and of itself a huge deal? No, of course not. Whatever. But it does make me wonder what the fuck is going on over there that allowed your official Twitter account to be so wrong and out of touch about something as crucial as the game's release date. And why weren't the devs the first to know? Or at least told before the people running the Twitter account? At minimum, that went out to over 1 million people. Add to that all the various stories, some anecdotal, some verified, regarding the last-minute crunch, confusion about platform availability, contradicting reports from journalists. Face it, the shit is a mess. And that doesn't mean that everything is fucked or the game is going to be bad or anything like that. Just that it's a mess now. It's a fiasco. Behind all that mess may very well be a game that's fucking incredible. We don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that now I'm a little worried, and before I wasn't. Like I said earlier, 2 delays sucks, but 3 is a pattern. Will that pattern continue? I hope not. Whatever state the game is in right now, it's hard to deny that this is not the behavior of a studio that has everything under control and where everything is going according to plan. And I'm worried. Not panicking, not angrily tweeting at people, not throwing a temper tantrum and shrieking about how fucked everything is and I'll never love again. Just worried. You'd think taking the middle ground on something like this would be more common, but most of what I see is either edgelord overreacting in rage spectacle or CDPR apologists telling everyone to calm down and why this isn't a big deal. Why is it so hard to say that you're still super psyched for the game, but this shit doesn't look so good? I know the establishment media has made it essentially a social taboo to dare so much as question our corporate overlords, but for fuck's sake, it's gotta be said. Looks like trouble in paradise for everyone's favorite AAA game dev. Let the circus begin. Whew, okay, that's our show for tonight. Thanks for chilling, spending this little bit of your free time with us. We love you today. We love you all the way. And if for some reason the main message of this video still hasn't gotten to you, let me just summarize it again right here. You are allowed to be worried. You're allowed to question the companies providing you products. There is a respectful, mature way to do that, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. No one here is saying fuck CDPR and that the game is going to be terrible and fuck Cyberpunk 2077. All I'm saying is that with all the recent shit they're getting up to, I'm a little worried. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyways, don't forget to downvote the video, show your tenuous grasp of nuance and fealty to your corporate masters in the comments below, and remember to miss that subscribe button, because just like the Bishop plug, I need to have it and I have to use it.